All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, April 10th. We have an 8-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Yes, we'll talk about the shirt in a second, but like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'll give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, keep an eye on the pinned comment if you do want to fade me. And man, if the Guppies faded me last night, you didn't do too hot. We had a 7-1 night, but the one thing I want to talk about, and the reason I'm wearing this shirt, you're probably thinking, wow, you look like a D-bag, a tool, cocky. You're right, but I'm feeling all those types of ways, guys. That parlay between the Wizards and the Utah Jazz, we have listed as a 2-unit parlay here because I did not want to actually put, the amount of units that we responsibly put on that play last night. So for YouTube purposes and whatnot, it was a 2-unit big-time play for us. But that was one of the biggest bets of my life. So you know what? Pumping some more crowd noise. Hate on the shirt all you want. I even have a Fade Me chain on. It's about as blingy as I get, but nonetheless, guys, a big night last night. The Heat money line come through for us. Miles Bridges under rebounds and assists comes through for us. DeMar hits that line in just points. Derek White, only guy that does not come through, an 8-0 sweep with a 2-unit play, and there would have been massive. SGA under 11.5 rebounds and assists. We had to sweat out. Grayson Allen cashed, and then the Warriors money line for plus money cashes. And then give me one more chance to drop the cha-ching, guys. The parlay, Wizards and Jazz, plus 20.5 each for plus 141 on BetMGM. I'm sorry if you hate the look, but you're going to have to put up with it for the next few minutes because I am feeling good. The vibes are good this morning, and the vibes even get better with the ride of the day. We're not going to use the soundboard, all right? Defranchise, you don't get the cheers or the cha-ching because I've already abused the hell out of that. The thing's probably blinking red saying stop pushing all these buttons. But you had Jalen Brunson over 29.5 points. You cashed your second ride of the day in a row. Shout out to you. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me an absolute banger of a pick. I'll be jumping on board with one person's pick, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. And if you win, we continue to ride with you. So shout out to Defranchise in this one. He's cashed 2 in a row now, so let's see what he's got for us today. Let's see what he is cooking with. But yeah, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I know the Guppies are going to hate the shirt, but we have yesterday's track record proof for it. Does this shirt jinx us for tonight? Probably, but you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's jump into game number 1 here. We have the Cavs taking on the Grizz. Cavs 18.5 point favorites in this one. And you look at a lot of these spreads and a lot of these games, they're not going to have the biggest of, interests or implications here. Now, Cleveland, from their standpoint, they are sitting in the 5 seed, tied with the Magic for the 4 seed, and only a half game above the Pacers here for the 6th seed, essentially, if they drop. So I do think Cleveland's going to want to continue to win games. They haven't played in what feels like a while, but in a couple days now. I think they come out here and win this game, but plus 18.5 seems like it's a little bit too much, doesn't it? Like, I understand that Cleveland should be able to mop the floor with this Memphis team, but to be completely honest, it just seems like too many points. The last time they played was just over a month ago, and they only won by 7 points. They played earlier. Actually, I think that might have been their only meeting of the year, but yeah, overall, like, I just think that this is a spot where it's too many points, so give me Cleveland, but it's not going to be a final play. Like, I can't really trust Memphis in this spot either. Memphis on a back-to-back. They just lost by a bunch, 102 to 87 against the Spurs. So I'm sitting here saying I don't think it's too many points for it is too many points for Cleveland. And you look at that and it's like, well, it really wasn't too many points for the Spurs, right? So I get that, but overall, I'm probably going to end up passing on this game, but I can't really get to the Memphis side. From a total perspective, sitting at 212.5, we have seen this Cleveland defense really, really struggle as of late, so I'm going to lean towards the over, but this really is going to come down to, can Memphis conjure up any sort of offense, right? Like, that is a spot where it doesn't matter if the total's at 150 right now. If they can't get to, 80 points, and I'm exaggerating, it's going to be tough to hit overs with Memphis, being considered here. So I'm going to lean towards the over, but I do have that sort of, shaking in my boots feeling that one team here may not be able to get to that spot. I didn't mention injuries. We know that Memphis is super injured, but Donovan Mitchell should be playing tonight for Cleveland, so that's another good look for, I would say, both the over for them scoring as well as Cleveland if you really do want to lay that crazy number. All right, next up, we have Atlanta taking on Charlotte. Interesting one here because we do have both teams on a back-to-back. Charlotte, not as crazy of a back-to-back. They lose to Dallas last night, but Atlanta, they were home, so there's a little bit of benefit there, but they went to double OT against Miami, and those guys were dog tired at the end of the game. If you guys watch that, I watched the whole game because we had Miami on the money line. That ended up cashing, but Atlanta should be super tired here. My concern, and the reason I don't know if I can get to Charlotte's side of things overall, is the fact that it's just 10.5. Like, if this was 14.5, something like that, I think I would be looking at taking the points with Charlotte against a very tired Atlanta team, but 10.5 doesn't seem like it's all that much, and I guess I'm hoping that these Atlanta guys kind of rest and recover. It's definitely not one of our favorite spots on today's slate, which there's much better games than these first three. Like, even if you look at the image, right, you have the first three games are kind of like meh, and then we start getting into some decent basketball for the bottom half of the slate. So I'm not going to force anything today, but I would lean Atlanta here. It's not enough points to get me over to the Charlotte side of things, to be completely honest. In terms of a total, I do think that, if these guys are tired from back-to-backs, maybe they slow things down, or even if Atlanta is like, whoa, Charlotte's starting to kind of catch up to us and all that, I think that that's due to the fact that Charlotte may be, I guess, exposing Atlanta's transition defense, which isn't very good. So I think Atlanta will say, all right, let's slow things down, and Charlotte, bad enough basketball team to not be able to counter that. So I'll lean towards the under here as well. When it comes to player props, I believe we still have Jalen Johnson listed as out. I think he's questionable, so we don't really have anything on him. I did like, actually, weirdly enough, looking at his assist line because, again, if this is a game in which he plays, you're looking at an assist line of 4.5 for plus money, and he's been averaging 9 potential assists over his last 10 games played, but he's listed as doubtful right now, so we'll see. In terms of other player props, nothing much that I'm absolutely loving. I don't think this is going to be a big Miles Bridges night. It just doesn't seem like it fits his sort of game, and he's gone under his PRA line in 2 straight games against Atlanta, both this season. So that could be a spot that I consider as well. But again, if this game does flip and turn into transition, I don't know if I like any guys unders over here. All right, guys, before we get to the rest of the slate, I do want to shout out Sleeper. Been talking about them a lot as of late because it's one of my favorite DFS player prop apps out there. And right now, if you use the link in the pinned comment and sign up, you'll get your first deposit matched, which is a no-brainer in and of itself. You can also get a free Anthony Edwards square. They're dropping discount squares like they're accidentally dropping change out of their pocket. Like, I don't know what Sleeper's doing over there, but they are dropping discount squares, which we love to see and love to take advantage of. So go check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. Go try it. They'll match your first deposit. You could put in $20. You probably spent $20 on Starbucks this week, right? You could put in $20. They'll match. You'll have now $40 to play with in the account. More you win, or the more player props you win, the more you get paid out. It's really cool. Go check it out, guys. I love the Sleeper app. I've been bragging about it and talking about it for over a year now. So, if you don't like it, sorry, but it's not for everybody, but I love it. So go check it out, guys. I think you will too. That link is in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of these games. We got like one more meh game to get to, and then we got some good basketball to talk about. And here is the meh game. We have Brooklyn taking on the Raptors here in this spot. So Raptors played yesterday. They ended up getting smoked by the Pacers. They're 14-point dogs. They lose by, I think it was 17. Brooklyn hasn't played in a few days here, so I think that there is a little bit of an edge there. But even the spread, like, take a peek at that. Like, what are we doing here, right? Like, in what world, I don't care who they're playing, is Brooklyn a 10.5-point favorite over anybody? So, I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I already look like a goof, with the chain and the shirt and that type of thing. So you know what? I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. Like, give me Toronto here on with the spread plus 10.5 points. I just don't buy into this Brooklyn team with really nothing to play for, winning by 11 points. Now you can make the argument, well, Toronto has nothing to play for, but that's the whole point. Like, if we get Joe Schmo and his buddy playing basketball today, I think that Toronto can actually try and play. Quickly, I think is probable. That'll be a nice one if he does play. If he doesn't, I still don't mind it. You have Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton, both questionable here on the side of the Nets. But yeah, like I said, these first 3 games, not the best games on today's slate, but I don't choose the order. I just go by the times. In terms of the total, I'll slightly lean towards the over. I don't see much defense being played in this one. And not many player props that I'm loving either. All right, we got Miami taking on Dallas. Both teams played last night. You can definitely say that Dallas had a little bit easier run of it as they spank up on Charlotte. And Miami goes to double OT with Atlanta, which tells me that everybody and their grandmother's ex-boyfriend is going to be on Dallas today just because of that spot, right? Which I can't disagree with. I wish that I could find a lane to get to Miami here, but overall, I think Dallas is the better team. I think what you could make an argument is looking at the, I think Dallas is going to be pretty much locked into that 5 seed unless, any strange things happen with the Clippers above them. So maybe Dallas doesn't necessarily care as much as Miami, which Miami, I want to say that they're still locked into a play-in spot too, right? Now that I think about it. So realistically, playoff implications here after both teams winning last night are a little bit lessened. I wanted to find a path to Miami. I really couldn't, just because I do think the world's going to be on Dallas today. But ultimately, I don't want to overthink it. I think I lean towards the Mavs minus the 4 points. And I say that bummed out because, again, I do think that Miami is so gritty and whatnot that they easily could oh, yeah, we went to double OT, but guess what? We're going to come and punch you in the mouth next game, So I could see that happening, but the Mavs are just good right now. They're playing good basketball, whether they're playing bad teams, good teams. They're doing pretty much everything they need to do. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're 9-1 against the spread. If they're playing on the road, it doesn't matter. If they're on back-to-backs, it doesn't matter. They've covered in 70% of back-to-back games this year. Give me Dallas minus the 4 points, kind of reluctantly. In terms of the total, I'm leaning way on the over here. I just don't see how Miami's defense is going to stop Dallas from just, overall perspective, right? This is a Dallas team. Last 3 games, the 3rd most efficient offense in the league and scoring the most amount of points in their last 3 games. You could say, okay, well, they played, Golden State, Houston, and Charlotte. Mainly Houston and Charlotte are what's bumping that over the edge with a 147 game and a 130 game. So last 3, not the biggest of sample size. I totally get it. But even still, I just think that this is going to be, if Miami wasn't on a back-to-back here, I think that I might lean more towards the defense, but on a back-to-back in this spot where, Dallas definitely didn't have to sweat that win out last night like the Heat did. I think it's a Dallas spot. Luka played, I think, still almost 35 minutes. Kyrie played a bunch, but again, you're looking at Miami guys who actually I could pull that up pretty easily. Or so Miami, their starters last night played a crap load of minutes. So I say Luka played 35. It's oh, that's a lot, right? Jimmy Butler 45, Bam Adebayo 48, Tyler Hero 48. Jovic played 40. So these guys, I just couldn't get to Miami, guys. I know I'm rambling at this point. I couldn't get to Miami, but give me the over as well as Dallas in this spot. In terms of a player prop, I like Luka over 3.5 turnovers. Again, we talked about it yesterday. I think this could be another spot for him today. The guy just handles the ball too much, and I wish I ended up betting it yesterday. We didn't get it. We didn't get it in, but he cashed even against Charlotte. So you're telling me a better defensive team may not be able to force him to be able to go out there and turn the ball over 4 times. And then we're looking at the other team star, Jimmy Butler, over 4.5 assists. He's averaging 12.1 potential assists over his last 10 and 13 potential assists in his last 5 here. Dallas allowing plenty of assists to opposing players, and Jimmy Butler's hit this in 2 straight games against Dallas, one of which comes this season. So I like that spot, especially if Jimmy is worn down. He's going to want to delegate a little bit more. All right, next up, we got Milwaukee taking on Orlando. Right to the injury report in this one because Giannis got hurt last game against the Celtics yesterday. Both these teams on back-to-backs. Middleton also on the injury report here as well. I do think that, Giannis was cleared and no structural damage or anything like that. So that's good. But that being said, this is towards the end of the year in terms of standings. They're not really in risk of losing that 2 spot. The Magic may want to try and get the 3 spot or at least, differentiate themselves from the Cavs in the 4-5 battle. So I think that this is going to be a spot where I do lean towards the Magic. And obviously the books agree. They're listing as the Magic as away dogs or away favorites right now. So yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable with that one. If Giannis doesn't play, I like that even more. Even if he does, I do still think I like the move here. In terms of a total 215, you can see a lot of back-to-backs here, a lot of low numbers, which makes a lot of sense, but I'm still going to lean towards the over. In terms of what we saw from the Orlando Magic yesterday against the Rockets, it wasn't exactly what I'd expect. They let the Rockets score almost 120, 118 on them. So I do think that, Milwaukee should be able to put up a decent amount of points. And like I said, I like the Magic to win this game to some degree. So technically speaking, I do think that we should see this one get near the 220s overall. From a player prop perspective, I have a plus money play that I'm liking, and it's a plus money play only on MGM right now. It's actually minus 110 or beyond on most books, but Paolo Banchero under 5.5 assists. You might be thinking, what the hell, that guy, all the run that he gets and the touches and whatnot. I do think that, you know, that's all valid, but to me, if the Magic are going to win this game, it's probably going to come down to the fact that he has a good scoring night, and he had 4 straight games against the Bucks here in which he does not reach 6 assists. So I like his spot here, averaging 9 potential assists against the Bucks in his last 5 against them, and 10 potential assists over his last 10 overall. So even still, if we did the 50% rule, he should be landing at 5 assists maximum. So yeah, I like this spot. And honestly, you know, getting the start at the power forward position, this is a Bucks team that's very, very, very stingy, only allowing the 2nd most assists to opposing power forward. So Banchero under 5.5 assists could definitely be a spot that we can target here. And again, it's plus money on MGM, minus money elsewhere. So definitely value over there. All right, OKC taking on the Spurs here. So this is a game that I guess you could say has some implications. So the Thunder, a game out of technically first place right now. I mean, no matter who wins the Timberwolves or the Nuggets game, they should bump to first place because that team will obviously one of those teams is guaranteed to win tonight. But the Thunder aren't out of it necessarily, and I do still think that they're going to try and win games. So though it's a huge spread and everything like that, we saw the Thunder kind of battle back yesterday and win. My one concern is they went and got the win yesterday against Sacramento, right? Now, I don't think we're going to have Shea. I don't think you'll have Jalen Williams, but Victor Wembanyama is listed as doubtful on the San Antonio side of things. So to me, that's almost like a wash in a sense, and I still think OKC can go out there and get this win. The problem is 15.5 points, right? Like, I think OKC wins this game even without Shea or Williams, but 15.5 points is 15.5 points. Like, that's a decent amount there. Overall, I'm still going to lean towards the Thunder, just because without Wemby, I don't trust him. But if Wemby plays, I probably do lean towards the Spurs. I don't lean them money line or anything, but I could get 16 points easily, you know, if Wemby does play and we don't have 2 of the best offensive guys on the Sun side of things, right? So I'll lean that way if Wemby doesn't play. If Wemby does play, I'd probably flip it, but I don't think I don't know if that will become a final play, to be completely honest. From a total perspective here, 226.5 is what we're looking at. I don't mind taking a peek at the over. This Spurs team obviously going to want to get out there and run. We kind of know that's their MO. And in terms of what we've seen lately from the Thunder, we know that they can run. They haven't really been the fastest team, but last time they played the Spurs, I want to say they put up, they've played the Spurs a few times this year. 123, 140, and then they put up 118. Each time the Spurs actually in their last game put up 132. So if we see something like that, I like the over here as well. And then no major player props I'm looking at. Too many injuries to deal with in this game. All right, the game of the night. This should decide, this will end up putting a team in first place, at least for the time being, in the West. Denver hosting Minnesota here. Denver 6-point favorites, which is, not going to lie, kind of a big number against this Minnesota team here. The total at 212. Let's start with the total in this one. I think this one goes under. I think that if Denver, controls his pace at all, it's an easy under. Minnesota, also a decent defense. Like, this could be an under type game and a playoff type of a game. So I'm going to lean under right off the rip. When it comes to what I'm liking in this game, I've gone back and forth this morning plenty of times. So keep that in mind, guys. If you are on either side, I'm not talking you off whatsoever here, because this should be a good game no matter how much you want to cut it up, right? But I think I'm going to side with Denver. Aaron Gordon was out yesterday. I assume he plays today. If he doesn't, that's going to be a huge hit. But I'm going to side with Denver. Like, this should be a spot in which they're like, hey, we're the defending champs. We have Jokic. You don't have Towns. Like, I think that this could be a spot in which Denver says, all right, you know what? Yeah, we've been kind of cruise controlling, not necessarily covering the most amount of games and all that, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? This is a game that we're treating like the playoffs, and here we are. So I like Denver in this spot. I don't know if that's the public side or not. I haven't looked into that yet this morning, but I will say, if you want to take Minnesota plus the points, if I was in your shoes, I might just pull trigger on money line, because I think whoever plays better basketball today goes out there and wins this game outright, which obviously, but I don't even know if that +6 is valuable for Minnesota. I think if Minnesota keeps us to 6 points, I think that they might just win the game outright. So maybe there's a little bit of like, if you're on Minnesota, take the long shot, swing for the fences. But I think I'm going to be on Denver tonight. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we roll with anything. I truly think that this Denver team is going to say, okay, we've been a little quiet as of late, but guess what? You ready to get punched in the face and let us show you how good we really are? That's where I'm going here. And like I said, I like the under as well. In terms of what I'm looking at from a player prop perspective, I wanted to actually roll with a parlay, but I couldn't get decent odds. Still going to be something that we're looking at, but I actually considered somewhat of a Jokic double-double and Gobert double-double, and lo and behold, the odds were like terrible. So if we can find a book that does that okay for same game parlay, it's something that I do like. Overall, again, another player prop, that free square from Sleeper, Anthony Edwards, 0.5 points that I like. If Aaron Gordon does get the go, I like his over 9.5 rebounds plus assists. Last 10 games here, he's covered it in last 10, he's covered it in 9, actually, yeah. 10.5 rebound chances, 7 potential assists there, so he should have a floor of right around, 8 or 9 in terms of what we're seeing. And this is a Minnesota team that I think they're going to do their best to keep Jokic off the boards. That means someone like Gordon could come in there and snag a couple. I'm excited to watch this one, really. All right, Clips taking on the Suns here. Clips end up getting that dub yesterday. I do think that they kind of showed that, hey, like when push comes to shove, we can be the better team, right? The Suns, Nurkic, questionable in this one. For the Clippers, Harden listed as a game-time decision, and Kawhi Leonard still looks like he is out here, unless we have an old-ish injury report. So we'll see. Keep an eye on the injury report for this one, obviously. I do think that this is a spot in which, these two teams can kind of split this little mini-series that they had. But I don't know if I trust the Suns now on the road after what I saw last night. Like, they just, in a game that, should matter to them and everything like that, like, they just didn't seem like they came to play. Like, they just lacked, right? I think, what do they have? A terrible start to the game, too. So, yeah, I think that the Clippers win this game. It's a matter of if that 4 points is too much, or not too much, enough to even make me take Clippers money line, or just take them with the +4, like, still kind of up in the air there. But yeah, I kind of have a bad taste in my mouth from the Suns from last night. So though I do think that they could split it, and this probably is a spot where they bounce back and win, 4 points could be a little bit too much for me to lay. And with that being said, if I do roll with the Clippers, it could be just like when I said Minnesota versus Denver. Like, I might just get a little wild and take the Clippers on the money line, because what that pays right now is +150, like on FanDuel. Like, that seems like decent odds, right? So keep an eye on the pinned comment. I'm leaning Clippers as of right now. Total at 226. I'm going to lean towards the under, similar to what we saw yesterday. Like, there should be defense in some of these better games on the slate today, or at least I would hope there would be, because there should be, right? Like, we're getting near playoff time, good teams playing each other, playoff implications, blah, 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 all that type of stuff. And no major player props that I'm loving in this game as of right now. But, guys, it's going to wrap for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. Hopefully you guys don't think that this shirt looks dweeby. We've actually sold plenty of them on the Fade Me store, so you know what? Like, I guess a lot of people do like it. I have mine. It's definitely like a vacation type shirt and whatnot. But yeah, I'm pleased after our NBA night last night. Mediocre MLB night, but hoping we have a good Wednesday tonight. But guys, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment 23. Shows that you made it this far and that you're not a guppy, that you're a real one, and I appreciate the real one. So catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.